Before you move through the rest of our Cubase Pro 10 courses, I wanted to give you some ways to dive a little deeper into the content that comes with Cubase, because there's a ton of it. Let me show you the easiest way. Let's go over to the Media tab of our right zone, and if you can't see the right zone, make sure you click the window controller to reveal it, and then click on the Media tab. And if you don't see these icons, make sure you hit the Home icon. Now let's go into the Loops and Samples category, and I'm going to drag the right zone out a little bit so that we can see more of these icons, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different libraries in here. You may not see as many libraries as I have because I've installed some of the Steinberg libraries after the fact that I've purchased separately, which you can also purchase separately, but let's go with one that you do have, which is the EDM Toolbox. So when I click on that icon, it's going to reveal a whole bunch of categories of different criteria that this media represents. For example, if I were to click on beats, then I can choose from different substyles and different characteristics, but let's just look at all of the beats right now. When you single click on a beat, it will allow you to audition it. It may take a moment for it to load because a lot of these are virtual instrument driven, so it has to load the samples into your computer, and so the first one may take a little while. But when it loads, it will instantly audition for you. If it doesn't audition for you, there's a play and stop button for the audition in the lower area here. I'm going to hit stop, and then I'm going to scroll to the, let's see, where are they? The Castle Morton collection. These are really cool. Let me single click on the 909 drum break right here. It's going to audition. If I wanted to use that in a project, I can just click and drag that over to my project window and place it where I want it to start. In this case, it will start at measure 1. So now I have that drum machine loop in my project. Now let's add a synth bass to the project. So I'll scroll down here and click on synth bass. And typically, if you find things in the same library with the same creator, then they'll work really well together. So let's just click and drag the Castle Morton acid bass over onto this second track. All of this content has to be on different tracks. You really end up with some weird sounding stuff if you put some bass parts onto a drum track and so forth. So everything needs to be on its own track. But now we can play those two together. But don't be afraid to experiment with different libraries. Let's come down to the Evergreen Tech Bass and the Bridge A version of that. I'm going to drag that onto its own track. Then I will mute the original bass track, and now we can play those two together. Except that you'll notice that the bass is twice as long as the drums. So each event in the project window has a little repeat handle, and that's the little square at the middle end of this event. When I click and drag on that, you'll see that it makes repeats. Now I can listen to that whole loop, and they'll each end at measure 5. If I wanted to make that whole figure twice as long, it's just a matter of selecting all of the events and then dragging the repeat handle to make even more repeats across multiple tracks. And another nice thing to note about the Media tab is that there's a Reset Attribute Filter button right here, which will reset all of the different criteria that you had chosen previously so that you can start over again. So don't be afraid to spend some time in this Media tab because there's a wealth of content there. And next, let's talk about the virtual instruments.